Hi everybody, welcome to part 2 of my how to make your own compost bin series. Is 2 videos a series? I don't know, but if you want to learn how to get your compost started once you have a container and just kind of how to initially fill your compost bin, this video is going to explain that. If you haven't been here before, my name is Bethany and this is my channel Make Joy, where I post about my life and hopefully it brings some joy to yours. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Alright, so like I said, we've had this compost bin going for about a month, and honestly, I'm super impressed with how it's turned out. Like, this is in just 1 month. I don't know if you can see that. It looks like a big pile of dirt, and it smells like a big pile of dirt, and that's exactly what you want. It's also really cool to see how as we put our waste into the compost pile, it just gets so much smaller. Like, all of our fruit and veggie waste that we've been putting in there just compacts in size a lot, and it shows you how the microbes are breaking down all the extra junk and just giving you the really good nutritious stuff that then we can use on our plants when it's done maturing. So to start off my new compost piles, I like to use old coffee filters. So we do a lot of pour over coffees, and so that leaves us with these great brown coffee filters. And so what I do is I just unfold them like this. I split them in half, and then I use them to line the bottom of the container. So really it only takes a couple to make the full circumference here. If you have a bigger container, you might end up needing more, but I just do that so that when I'm first adding stuff, chunks of it don't fall down into my drip pan. And then this is just a little homemade watering can that my husband made, but I use that to just sprinkle stuff with water as I'm going through. So I put those coffee filters down there and I get them nice and damp, and I think I'm even going to go ahead and add another layer since we have a ton of extra coffee filters right now. And that way I just feel like I have a good base at the bottom that I'm building with. And as you have to mix compost for it to be healthy and work and happen. But so as I mix it, eventually these get stirred up from the bottom, and this bottom one, the filter kind of is the compost itself, but I found that's pretty good. And the drip pan, it has some kind of jank water down there, but it doesn't have any big chunks of stuff. So obviously my stuff isn't dripping through the holes. So I'm going to start with the filter, and then we get to adding the ingredients. So in compost, they talk about greens and browns. Neither one of those is super helpful for me right now because my greens are usually not green. These are my greens right now, which as you can see are yellow, and there's some orange peel in there, and ginger and eggshells. We've been really careful so far with this thing of compost because it was our first one and we tried last summer and it was an abysmal failure. I've been really careful not putting a lot of stuff into this one. So no citrus peels, no onions, no rice or bread or any of those things. No, I don't think we've put anything cooked in there at all. But as I've been reading, I found a lot of information saying that compost can be more forgiving than that, so I'm going to try to be a little more creative with this one. But that's also the advantage of having a second one, is if this just turns into a gross, smelly, rotten mess, and then we can just throw that one away and not have to worry about it. So one of the big reasons that people are going to tell you to be careful with what you put in your compost is because of pests. So animals can come and get into your compost, or little buggies and flies can come get in your compost if you're not careful with it. But if your compost is well balanced, so like I said, greens and browns, so if as long with the food waste you're putting in lots of good paper waste or dried leaves, then you're not going to have as much of a problem because it's going to even itself out. You also, the advantage of once you have mature compost is that mature compost is going to keep animals from wanting to mess with this stuff because it just smells like dirt to them. It doesn't smell like yummy food. We keep our compost in this closet up on our 8th-story apartment, so we don't have a lot of trouble with raccoons coming over because we don't have it in a yard. But if you're in a yard, or if this is on a balcony that's only 1 floor off the ground, you should maybe be a little bit more careful of pests. Okay, next I'm gonna add some browns. And these ones, so we've been saving all of our egg cartons and toilet paper rolls for this exact purpose. It's really great because we don't have any way that we can recycle this stuff here, and so when we put it in our compost, we're just turning it back into beautiful, lovely earth that can nourish new plant growth, which will make new paper, hopefully. And this is the other thing, is they suggest you put in, I think it's carbon and nitrogen, so like this provides carbon and counts as brown, and fruits and vegetables and coffee grounds all provide nitrogen and they count as greens. And you want to have, I think it's about a 2-to-1 mix is what they say. I'm usually not super precise with that, but as you can see from this little bin, we just keep like paper towels, anything that's wrapped in paper in our house, basically, old tissues, it all goes in here. And then when I add new fruits and veggies to our compost, I also add that. So every time you add paper, you want to make sure you make that paper damp because it will help it to break down. And so I'm just sprinkling this cardboard here with a little bit of water. And you can even, if you want to, like, be even more gung-ho about that, you can soak your cardboard in water overnight. So like the night before you would want to add some new stuff to your compost pile, or the night before you're building like a new compost bin, you can soak your cardboard in water, and that way it's like extra ready to go. But I'm just not that committed. And so far, in my experience with this first bin, compost is just really hardy. Like I feel like with vermicomposting, which is when you have compost with worms, you have to be a little more careful because you're trying to keep your worms alive and keep your worms happy. And so you don't want to put in stuff that's really going to bother the worms. But we're not doing that. We're doing, I think it's called like hot composting technically. So you're just using like the heat and the microbes from the decomposing stuff in there to break it all down. And so you don't have to be quite as careful. Like this compost can, in my experience so far, stand up to a lot. So I'm just putting in like some old paper towels in there and some nice cardboard, and I'm just layering it. I'm doing like a little bit of food and then a little bit of paper. Obviously food waste, don't put fresh food in your compost, just food waste. But you'll find like as you start to collect it, especially as you learn more and more like all the different things you can collect, you can collect a lot of food waste really fast. I think I have about a week's worth here in this bucket, and this bucket was like pretty much full with 1 week's worth of food waste, just like the leftovers that we can't eat, ends of zucchinis and stuff. And then you'll see though too that like that whole bucket, I've emptied a whole bucket's full worth of stuff into this compost one multiple times, and it's only full to about here. So you can see like the waste has lost, I would say, at least half of its volume in the composting process, if not more. So let's put our last chunk of food. Ooh, it's always nice and smelly here at the bottom. I will say this is not like entirely for the faint of heart. I usually don't do well with mold and rot, but as I just tell myself, it's dirt, it's like dirt. And that really helps me, but obviously like you're sorting old food waste, so like you are gonna end up dealing with kind of like raw and dirty, moldy food. And if you categorically just can't deal with that, like right now, I'm kind of not looking in the bucket because the pile of stuff I just put in there just really gross me out. So we gotta cover it with some paper. But I find it's really good. What's kind of nice about this is I can just dump the gross food in there. I cover it with paper, I soak the paper, and then when I come back to stir it, the mold is all gone and it's covered with dirt. And that's not bad for your compost pile at all to put mold in it. The mold just means the food has already started to break itself down and is all the more ready to be composted. So you can do this even for the faint of heart. I have such a sensitive gag reflex. It started to activate there a little bit, but now we've got it all. The grossness is covered up, and I'm gonna dump a little bit more old mature compost on the top there, just to help it get started, to cover up any gross decomposing food smells because we don't want to get critters in our house either. We don't want to have like bugs or ants or flies hanging out in here. So I'm gonna finish with another egg carton because we have loads of these. We intentionally buy eggs that we can get in these cardboard cartons so then we can break them up and ditch them instead of having like a plastic carton that we would have to recycle or just put in the trash. So we do here because they don't really recycle plastic here. We can put these nice paper ones in our compost. So we really like that. And I also like it here, you'll notice I did like, I'm ending with a layer of compost and then I'm doing this layer of cardboard. And then I'm actually gonna have one more thing at the top, but first I gotta grab more water. All right, so I've got the top of the cardboard soaked really well. And then I like to finish off my compost piles by doing this cool little thing. It's not really that cool. We also save all of our toilet paper rolls to use in our compost. And I just tear them in half like this, and then I kind of create like a flat lid to go over all of the compost. So it's completely covered. It's just got like a layer of paper that's kind of covering the whole thing. And you want to be careful, I'm kind of pushing down right now to get the stuff to stay in there, but you don't want to pack it because compost needs air to do well. So make sure you just like use your water to flatten your cardboard down. And like obviously you kind of want stuff to fit in there, but don't like jam it down in there because then it's not going to have a chance to get the oxygen it needs for the microbes to do what they need breaking it all down. All right, so I've created, I can lift this. Yeah, I've created, if you see this like nice little layer of cardboard that goes over the top, you can kind of see my layers if you look in the side of food and compost and paper. And then I like to top it all off with just a piece of crumpled paper. So this is like a piece of packing paper we got in the package. And I just lay it over the whole thing. And that's one more way that it just kind of seals everything off. Okay, if you were gonna keep this outside, I would really highly recommend that you like put some actual super secure lid on it to keep animals at bay because we're just keeping it in our closet. I actually just take the top that I cut off of it and I just lay it on top. So the idea is if there was anything real big, like a mouse that was trying to get in, this would cause somewhat of a challenge to it, but like if we have flies or ants that want to get into this thing, they're going to, but we've had, like I said, we've had this one for a month. It hasn't been a problem because it's winter, like it could be worse in the summer, so that remains to be seen. And there you go. There's like, in 20 minutes, you can have your own compost bin ready to go. This is my old one. I'm just gonna give it a nice little stir so that it's nice and aerated and has plenty of oxygen. And then I do the same process with this one with laying old toilet paper rolls over the top and then a piece of paper and the lid, and then I'll leave it in the closet and stir it up about once a week. So hopefully we can give this one a week or two and I can show you guys how it's progressed. All right, so it's been 3 weeks actually, which I meant to update this video like a week after I made the compost originally, but it's just been a really crazy few weeks. So here is what the compost looks like after a few weeks. Ooh. Sorry, that's really dark. Gonna make it lighter. Yeah. Okay, so warning, compost looks kind of gross if you're like not used to it. But here, let's zoom in a little. You can see there. Let's see, can we maybe bring it into focus a little more? There we go. So you can see like all those veggies and paper that I put in there just 3 weeks ago are now like this big pile of black stuff. So that's the progress in about 3 weeks. So there you go. That's how I made my own DIY compost bins. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have more questions about compost, I'd be really happy to answer them
to the best of my ability. I'm still learning all the time about compost and how it works. If you want to see more videos where I'm trying to save the planet without spending any money, you should subscribe to my channel, and you'll see videos like that along with vlogs of my daily life and I don't know, whatever else comes. So thanks so much for watching this, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.